Selective Translation by Laura Potter. It's almost always a matter of reading people. I can hide behind it, my privilege. They can't see it till I let them in. Past the white girl exterior, seems innocent enough, normal enough, looks white and well off, has a feminine walk to go with the talk. Short hair's common these days. And heteronormativity dictates that's all there is to me, to my family. Does it matter? If it's a choice, is it identity anymore? I wasn't born with it showing. I was born and showered with love, the first generation of its kind. Love, another privilege I have enjoyed. Something to be celebrated in all its diverse displays, but it can be so much easier to evade. Might sound crazy, but sometimes all that clarifying and explaining, it's just not worth the trouble. Which brings me to the double-edged privilege of having an identity that requires coming out to be associated with. Is a marginalized minority identity associating more of a burden when it's unavoidably worn and embodied in skin and hair, or when it's possible and often downright easy to pass, blurred into the majority normative haze, and the burden becomes the point of disclosure, or how not to lose yourself in that fog. Medical Mandarin snuck into my schedule fall quarter at the last minute, an elementary oral language course with emphasis on vocabulary and skills useful in clinical settings. Fascinating, my linguistically inclined pre-med student mind thought. Medical Spanish, my first choice, didn't fit in my schedule, and this new Chinese language would challenge me in new ways. I love languages. I couldn't wait for class, hooked before we even started. Got to class the first day, so excited, handouts printed out, eagerly stapled and hole punched in a straight row of 1, 2, 3 down the side, ready to fit into a standard 3-ring binder. Predictable, prepared, ready, like me, to jump right in, to relish that new, vulnerable feeling of lips forming new shapes, conscious placement of the tongue in my mouth, to colonize unfamiliar sounds. No longer taking words for granted, finding new words for old things. Languages are so beautifully ripe, with opportunities to learn, to express what we know, to communicate who we are. The professor, Wang Laoshi, welcomes us. We are a small class of only 2 students, Shuisheng. It will be intimate, all the better for learning. Got to class the second day, still excited, handouts, corners well caressed from careful review and studying the night before, ready to jump in again. But wait. Eyes scan the page, heart sinks. I didn't read ahead. Today's class is about family. The questions start rolling in fast, and my sunken heart is racing with them. But, okay, so far, so good, because they're questions I can answer. Like, 这是你妹妹吗? I translate, is this your little sister? I respond, no problem. Next question, 你的妈妈的身体好吗? Calmly I translate, how is your mother's health? Calmly. And if I am smirking internally and thinking, which one? Then no one is the wiser, because it neither shows nor distracts me. So calmly, I respond in Mandarin, with hardly a pause. I'm getting the hang of this. Those are questions I can answer. But the relief is short-lived. And when Wang Laoshi sings out, 你的爸爸的去世哪过去? Panic seeps into my teeth. My tongue feels heavy now. The hands in my lap, hands that held the hands of 2 mommies to cross the street, hands that don't know what it feels like to buckle the seatbelt in a dad's car, are shaking. Because it's not just a matter of translating the question. I could do that. The translation, the how, that's simple. I could fold up those Mandarin sounds into English parcels my brain could understand. What kind of car does your father have? And it's not just a matter of formulating the Mandarin response. If the words meant nothing, it would be easy to answer in kind. The sentence structure is not what's complex. There's a whole other structure of heteronormativity. It has nothing to do with pinyin and 4 tones, but I have an internalized complex about it, and just like this question, The solution, it's not very complex at all. To be honest, it's really pretty simple to be honest, right? Let me be straight with you, so to speak. I'm caught off guard between languages, between truth and lie, and how to articulate both. I endeavor to be an open book. That doesn't do much good when people don't bother to read past the cover, wasting no time in entering me into their alphabetized library based on what they can see of me. In reality, there are so many unread pages, but right now they're all written in English. And I could read out loud from myself, but in Mandarin my voice wavers in my suddenly dry throat. Lao Shi is looking at me. Other Shui Sheng is looking at me. It's floating out in front of all of us, dangling like bait. What kind of car does your father have? Naive, innocent, bursting with assumptions. Who said he has a car? Who said I would know if he did? Who said all fathers have cars? And who said all of us have fathers? Enough, you're wasting time. Find a solution and translate an answer and do it fast. It's a matter of reading people. It's a matter of whether or not to take the bait. And this time, my hesitation is read for me, incorrectly, as confusion about the language, about the meaning of the question. And I hide behind the privilege, the convenient, sad mask of confused white girls studying Mandarin for the first time. And smiling, Wang Laoshi repeats the question, slower, patiently. Because, of course, we must all have a baba. Every nice, unassuming white girl at Stanford must have a family that includes a baba who drives a car. I know what she wants to hear me say. And it's so much easier than trying to translate the already complicated explanation, or giving up and breaking into English and risking sounding oversensitive or worse. So, smiling, my lips part, to speak the lies I've uttered before, out of the same convenience and perhaps a small dose of fear, but now in a different language. The bait tastes raw and foreign, but I swallow it, even try to savor it, smiling through guilty bitterness of denial, of lying, ignoring the scratching of the rusty hook on the back of my throat because there are eyes on me, because there will be another question during the next class, in the next assignment. And this fish, having jumped once, will have to remember to take the bait again and again with a smile and with proper tonal pronunciation until the words glide effortlessly off my tongue. Because that's what I came here for, to learn how to speak this language. Does it even matter what words I say, as long as I say them right? But my tongue, for now, remains heavy and reluctant. And yet the words come. 我的爸爸有美国车. My father has an American car. The English truth? He might. I have no idea. 我的爸爸是谁? Who is your father? The English truth? I don't have a father. Think fast. Design the English lie. My father is Max. Max? Really? Sure. Okay, it's okay. That's fine. Quick. Translate to Mandarin. My father is Max becomes 我的爸爸是 Max. There. Said it. I answered the questions, and we moved on to a new part of the exercise, without my generating any suspicion. Max? It's a generic name. Sounds believably white and American, like I look and am. Like the car I said he drives. Besides, it's fast and easy for a heavy tongue to say. And so this fish, slippery, gets away this time, but dreams fitfully of rusty hooks and faceless men named Max driving American cars. While somewhere else, there's a German man named Hauke, with a face and a family of his own, and a car, certainly, but who cares where it's from? Because I didn't ride in its back seat on the way to school or ski trips, and I didn't learn how to drive with him anxiously perched in its passenger seat. His sole role in my life begins and ends with how he once gave two women in love what they needed to start a family of their own, a fatherless family. A family of mommies and daughters, a family made of love. And that was the love that raised me. But he was white, and so were my moms, and so was I. And no one thought anything of it. And he was tall, and so were my moms, and so was I. And no one thought anything of it. And no one could see in my skin or my hair anything to suggest that our family's love was any different, or that I was any different for having double the moms, for being fatherless. And so a slippery invisibility veiled my moms in a way that makes me no less their daughter, but equally as passable as the daughter of the faceless Max. It took me 18 years to come out to myself that I was something other than straight. Being born into my family gave me pride and the vibrant, colorful love of the LGBT rainbow. But it also came with teasing, exclusion, and a dangerous, powerful need to defy stereotypes, to prove that I was the daughter of lesbians and I was not gay. I was straight. Look at me. Proof that your stereotype is wrong. I think I knew for the first time that I wasn't straight when I was 11 years old, and I cried then. In part because I wasn't sure how I felt, in part because I was starting to be sure, in part because I was scared to admit that the image I had created to squash bullies and bigots and to protect my family might be a facade that I erected to prove a point or to escape my own truth. So I kept hiding and hoping that I wasn't hiding and that by passing I could make this all pass. I didn't want to be the kid at school who's gay because her parents are gay, or whose parents are gay because she is, or who will turn your kid gay if you have that playdate with her. So I went to proms with boys, and I kept my hopes and hiding hidden, even to myself. Hiding behind a proud straight ally identity, hiding behind my moms, hiding in plain sight. Marching at pride events, I held my mommy's hands, their supportive straight daughter. But when I finally came out to myself, when I finally named myself as queer, when I finally came out to my friends as queer, when I finally mustered the courage to cut off my long brown hair in favor of a shorter look, I found myself choosing to out myself and hide my family, blanketing my moms in words like parents, free of gender. Now that I was wearing my identity like a statement on top of my head, I wasn't passing so well in times when I wished I could pass, so I would style my hair to look more straight. But I love wearing my identity, but I miss having more of a choice, and I now risk being read as gay, when really my queerness doesn't sit in any one stripe of the rainbow. I don't even straddle stripes, I'm more of a wash of color. Reliance on labels frustrates me. Passing is a privilege I maintain for myself and for my family, but I now possess the confidence to out my identity, or style it on my head, or to say my mom's, when it's worth doing so, for my sake and that of those around me. So I have become a good reader of people, putting names and labels to them hypocritically, to decide whether or not to name myself, to decide whether it's safe, whether I want to don my fair weather identity today, right now, to you. So I read you between the lines, asking, how do you see me now? How would you see me then? And how do I want to be seen? What you see isn't always what you get. Translation is selective. And if you don't give me the time to translate the whole, you'll get part, but you won't get me. Got to class the third day? Excited, sure, but subdued and resigned. Ready, but necessarily less vulnerable, because how can you jump in wholeheartedly to a new language when you have to watch what you say. So, how do I decide what to say? Well, it's almost always a matter of reading people, except when they read you first.